Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have a 2-page daily spread for you today. This is a really good example of what a typical daily spread will look like in my journal. And when I say daily spread, I usually mean like the 2 days of the open hobonichi book. So like day 1 and day 2, like you're seeing laying flat here. If you ever see me say daily spread in my video or in a thumbnail, that's what it means. I was so scared lighting that match at the beginning. I usually have a lighter, but I have fake nails on, so I was nervous to get the flame from the lighter close to the nail, and I couldn't angle it correctly to get it into this tea light. Also, please, a moment for the nails. My roommate did these for me. They're Gel X with a nude color base and a pink chrome on top. And she also used gel or nail glue, I'm not even totally sure, to put the stones on and then did the top coat over all of that. She is so talented. I am so lucky. I have no idea how I'd even go about learning this skill, but she did an amazing job. So for anyone who watches my videos and journals, or honestly does any kind of creative pursuit like crafting or art or anything, do you ever have a day where you're working on your hobby and you keep having to step back and be like, what am I doing? That was this spread for me. Now, on the whole, it doesn't end up looking any different from any other of my typical like simple day-to-day journaling, but for some reason, I was just struggling with like the simplest things. But I recorded the video, so I'm going to show you guys anyway, because like it's a daily spread, it's fine. But watching back this footage, I'm just laughing to myself because I'm remembering my internal monologue at every moment, which I will now give you access to through this voiceover. A lot of times with the bubble letters, it's always kind of like a trust the process moment. Like I've done so many ugly bubble letters and I'm like, well, let's see what they look like once I use the white gel pen and I put an outline on it. And like sometimes it's like a little bit better and sometimes it's a lot better, but most of the time it's like it's a little bit better. And I think that's like where I was at here. I didn't space it correctly. I feel like this is just gonna be a tour of like everything that I think is wrong. I'm saying it like in jest, obviously doesn't bother me that much or I wouldn't put up this video, but just to kind of like give you insight into what I'm thinking during all this. As soon as I drew the A, I was like, oh my god, I spaced it wrong. Like, see, I'm like doing the outline on it because I'm like, this is gonna fix it up. It's really gonna tie the room together. And I do think it makes it like look a little bit cleaner. Like if I make a really wonky looking bubble letter, usually the outline will at least help it look more like the letter it's supposed to be. Especially when I write an E bubble letter, I'll always have the prongs of the E will blend together into this blob, and the outline from the pen will help actually delineate where they're supposed to be and what shape it is. So that's why I always outline my bubble letters. I'm using the antiquarian sticker book again. I got the sticker book a few years ago and I don't use it in every spread, but a lot of times like in my day-to-day journaling, I'll just leaf through it and look for a sticker that appeals to me and I'll stick it on the page, especially if I can match the color to the marker. It's just like something to kind of add, and I think it would be nice to eventually use all the stickers in the book. I've been trying to get into the mindset, honestly, over the last like few years of just using my stuff, like using my stickers, burning my candles, using up the ink in my pens, using my washi tape, allowing myself to run out of things instead of stockpiling. Granted, I'm still stockpiling stuff, don't worry, but I'm also using it at like a more rapid rate now. And I'll often go into my roommate's room and drop off a sticker sheet in her room and I'll be like, here you go, take this away from me. So I think it would be neat to like get through the entire sticker book. I've linked it down below. I've used it in a bunch of my spreads over the last 4 years, and there's like really cute stuff. It's all Victorian imagery, I believe, so images that have entered into the public domain, I guess, so they're allowed to be curated and resold like this. So yeah, it's a very cool project, and there are several different books in the collection. They've made like a book themed one and maybe like a nature themed one. This is just like the first book in the series, so it has like a whole myriad of things. And I use this bat sticker because I knew I'd be writing about sinners on the next page, so I was trying to tie it in thematically to the vampires. So coming up to the second struggle of this spread, I have filmed many journaling videos in a variety of different camera angles and camera positions, and I think this may be one of the worst I've ever come up with. I really have to pat myself on the back for this one. The iPhone and the tripod are between my right and left arm, obviously, which is not too uncommon when I'm filming, but for some reason, like the height of the tripod, my face, imagine like my right side of my face is pressed up behind my phone screen in this video. It's as if I was like pressed up against a window trying to peer in. And so I was trying to like duck around to see where I was writing, but not get my head into the frame. And I was also right next to the corner of my desk on the left side, and I had to like lean my forearm on the corner, so the sharp edge of my desk corner is just digging into the flesh of my arm as I'm doing this. I don't know what I was thinking. At some points I was just trembling because I'm like holding my pen at such a weird angle trying to see what I was doing. It becomes more complicated than you would think when you get into the mindset of being like, I love journaling. I want to film myself journaling and make a YouTube channel as myself, and I'm sure many of you have thought. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I never realized that I hold my face 2 inches away from the paper every time that I write, and suddenly I can't do that because I need to fit a camera in there. That's what's happening here. As far as the actual contents of my Sunday, it was a really nice, relaxing Sunday. I went to a new ballet class, and that was a great experience. I love trying out like a new teacher or a different level. And then my roommates and I watched a movie together. We watched Cars, always a great option. And yeah, just a very easy day. It's nice when all 3 of us can be home in the evening and like just hang out. And that's all I have to say about that. The day was great. The day was super relaxing. It was the writing about it in the journal afterwards that took it out of me. So on Monday, basically my entire day felt like it was leading up to me seeing Sinners. I was so excited to see Sinners. And my roommate and I, we had tickets to see it in IMAX and 70mm. Now, if you didn't know, there are only 8 movie theaters in the US that have these screens where you can see a 70mm IMAX showing, and one of them is in New York City. So if you are also a New York City resident, you have to get to the AMC at Lincoln Square because you have to sit in this theater to believe it. It is gigantic. I looked it up. The seating capacity is around 600 people. And instead of the typical movie theater where you're kind of, the seats are flat on the ground, it's like maybe a gentle slope in the theater with the screen in front of you. It's really steep. It almost feels like stadium seating, and the screen, of course, by virtue of being an IMAX screen, it's just like, it fully like encompasses the wall in front of you. And it just feels so close to you, no matter what row you're sitting in. Obviously, the entire movie was not shot IMAX 70mm. The IMAX cameras are like incredibly loud and also very complicated to operate. There are certain people who know how to operate these cameras, but it's a very specific skill for obvious reasons. And, you know, they're expensive and the film is expensive. So there are segments in the movie that are IMAX 70mm, and it's just like so exciting to go in. You know, obviously the very first scene I should say, is a 70mm sequence, and it's just so breathtaking to look at. It genuinely, and people say this all the time, and I want you to know that it's not BS, it feels like you are inside of the image. And when you have a director who has been so outspoken about people seeing it in this format, it was just like important to me that we got to do it, because I was like, he obviously has something very special, and if he's willing to like take to social media and like make this video explaining at length the format so people could see it in. So I was determined to get into that theater no matter what. And it was a bloodbath, but we got there. So the very first scene of the movie is Sammy coming down the road in the car, and I ended up seeing the movie a week later in 70mm, not IMAX, and it was crazy to see just how much of the image you lose going into a non-IMAX format. So I was really, really grateful that my first viewing of it was in the IMAX theater. I knew the basic plot of the movie, and honestly I wish I had known less, because I thought that the supernatural reveal would have been really cool if all the details of it weren't shown in that second trailer, but I couldn't escape the trailer because it was playing in movie theaters before other movies I was seeing earlier this year. So there are like major plot points that are spoiled in the trailer. And I don't know, if you were a person who saw it only watching the teaser, let me know if you thought that that was a way better way to experience it. I wish I hadn't even known about the vampires, although I think that would have been like impossible. I think it's probably in the synopsis of the movie. Yeah, that's the only thing, is that I wish I had just known less, because it almost feels like one of those movies where if you didn't know about the supernatural part of it, it would be one of those movies that switches genres halfway through, which is always just like a really cool thing to me. I love when a movie takes like a sudden turn out of nowhere. I think that this was pretty convincingly a historical fiction up until Remek's first scene in the movie with the clan couple. I don't know how many minutes in that is in the movie. It could be anywhere from like 20 minutes to like 40 minutes in. You're like so engrossed watching this movie that time just melts away. I thought it would have been really cool if I hadn't known about that aspect of it. But regardless, it was an amazing experience the entire time. And I wrote this in the entry. I was just like giddy with excitement, and like obviously it's scary, right? Especially the first time seeing it, I was scared, but I was also just like so excited because the theater was like packed, like the energy in the air is palpable, and the sound quality, like the music is so good. There's a scene where Perline, one of the female main characters, is like performing a song at the club, and she's like stomping her heels on the ground, and it was like shaking the floor of the IMAX theater. Oh my god. It was so good. I'm sick. It was so good. I was so stoked when they ended up bringing back the movie to the IMAX theaters after it kind of got booted out for Thunderbolts. Then they ended up bringing it back in for a few more additional showings, and I remember that those sold out so fast they crashed the AMC app. I happened to be on the app like trying to get tickets for a different movie, and I was like, this is so weird. Why is my app crashing when I'm trying to buy tickets for How to Train Your Dragon live action? Like, what's going on? And it turns out that unbeknownst to me, they had just announced like these extra screenings of the movie. Wish I had known, so I wouldn't have been spending my time trying to buy tickets for How to Train Your Dragon live action, but I don't think I would have gotten them anyway, because those Lincoln Square tickets are no joke. It's like trying to get tickets for Taylor Swift at this point. Like, it's brutal, but it's so worth it if you're able to get tickets. I don't work for AMC. I really it sounds like I'm really like pushing them. It's just like, if you are a movie person, I cannot overstate it enough. You got to get in that theater. You got to get there. This was another struggle of the spread. I have done like this creepy font in my journal a few times. Like when I watch a horror movie, I like to write the title in like a blood dripping font. I'll usually just look up one on my computer and then kind of follow it as a reference. And as I was sketching it out in the pencil, I was like, okay, like, you know, this looks pretty good. And then I started putting the marker down, and I was like, is it the presence of the camera that's making me nervous? Knowing that I'm filming it and I'm gonna have to post it no matter what it looks like? I don't know. But again, it was one of those trust the process moments after I outlined it twice, because I outlined it in the black ink once, and then off camera I outlined it again with a thicker pen because I had to get my face up to the notebook like 2 inches away to make sure that I was doing it right. After I did that, I was like, okay, it looks a little bit better. You know, it's fine. But that was just like another thing where as I'm doing it, I was like pausing like every 5 seconds, because I was like, why is this suddenly so hard? I've done this so many times. And I've also filmed myself journaling a lot at this point. I don't know why I was off my game, but it's like fine, you know, it's a journal spread. I was deliberating like so many times over where to put the poster too. I ended up going with this poster instead of like the typical theatrical release poster. I liked how this one had like a little bit more of a minimalistic design. At the end of the spread, I just went back and I added my little Spotify bubbles that I like to do. So sometimes like when I'm journaling, if I had a song that I listened to that day that really stuck out to me, whether like I was hearing it for the first time or I just had it on repeat for some reason, I like to go in, add a little Spotify bubble, like the logo, and then just write the song that I was listening to. So on Sunday, we had just recently seen the Pride and Prejudice re-release in theaters for the 20th anniversary of the 2005 version. So on my walk to ballet, I was just listening to the entire score of the movie, you know, having a Lizzie Bennet moment. I highly recommend taking a walk on a Sunday morning and listening to the Pride and Prejudice score, because it is a world-class score. I love it so much. So then, of course, on Monday, I made the Spotify bubble for a song from the Sinner soundtrack, I Lied to You. Such a good song, such a good scene in the movie. I have been keeping the rest of the soundtrack on repeat since the movie. Again, cannot overstate how exciting and fun the movie experience was seeing Sinners. I cannot recommend it enough. I cannot recommend it enough. But a really great movie and a really great soundtrack. And that is my daily spread for you today. Usually with a daily spread video, I wouldn't do a voiceover, but I figured since I had quite a lot to say about the movie and I thought it would be fun to just kind of chat about it, this video was really just a vehicle for me to talk about Sinners. I know I didn't exactly offer any in-depth analysis. I was just kind of talking at you about how much I loved it and how much I love sitting in a movie theater. But that is my truth. So thank you for watching and for listening. And also thank you for if you watched the video on mute because you didn't want to hear me talk. That's fine. You won't hear this message, but I'm thankful for you too. And I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.